And keep in mind, of course, they are there to make the roads safer for all of us and to get those snowy roads cleared up for travel in the future.
Yeah, and they'll be working hard through the night into the morning hours in many places too. Now we are headed toward the second half of the week. Weekend brings events, right? It is Valentine's Day this week on Friday as well. Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters has our look ahead and your forecast for fun.
Snowfall, yeah, it's with us, but moving out of the area, that means you can enjoy later weeks. Some forecasts for fun. Take a look. Walking forecast. Thursday looks great. Fresh snow cover on the ground. Beautiful landscape. About 11 degrees. Wind chills in the morning if you're out for a morning walk, down in the minus teens. Then some snow possible later Friday and again on Saturday. Just keep that in mind. Some stronger winds as well. That could again cause some of that snow to blow around. It's Galentine's Day on Thursday at the Central Furniture Rescue, 6 to 9 o'clock. It's a friend-themed trivia night. You can go ahead and enjoy some trivia, or you can head to the New Bow City Market for a creative class on Friday. That's Valentine's Day, where from 4 to 7 you can make your own Valentine's Day jewelry. There may be a few scattered snow showers around as that event takes place. C is for Cookie on Friday at the Hiawatha Community Center from 6 to 7:30 in the evening. It's Valentine's cookie decorating, and that also, kids, welcome to do that. What a great thing to do on Valentine's Day and make a sweet treat for your Valentine's Day. Again, a few scattered snow showers will certainly be a possibility. Iowa women's basketball is in town on Thursday. Although it's cold with about 10 degrees, the tip-off happens at 6:30. Rutgers in town. It does look like the weather certainly cooperates, which is good news if you're headed to the game. If you're headed to Ames over at Hilton on Saturday, Cincinnati taking on Iowa State. Tip-off at 3 o'clock. Again, some snow chances with temperatures staying in the middle 20s. That's today's look at our forecast for fun.
Now, your first alert forecast with meteorologist Corey Thompson.
Pinpoint Doppler radar has been pretty full most of the day, but we're starting to see this snowfall activity begin to pivot out of the area. Now, these are the localized radars, and so we get the smaller picture. It is snowing a little bit farther to the northeast up toward Milwaukee and Chicago too. But here in eastern Iowa, as we pinpoint our northern zones, this is where snow has been lacking for a good portion of the day. Dry air did win out there a little bit more than anticipated. So snowfall totals in that tier of counties near and just north of Highway 20 in our northwest zone in particular fell just a little bit short. Easier for them to pick up, of course, than in that case. But the central and southern zones, as advertised, several inches of snow took place, and it's still falling in many locations. A little moderate burst of snow moving through the Cedar Rapids metro on the very back edge of this snow. Iowa City, Coralville, Washington, all experiencing that too. A little extra band of snow still back here, but it's getting less and less, and we're expecting that to continue over the next few hours. AJ showed you those, and he reported so ably across eastern Iowa this evening with the mobile weather lab. Here is our completely covered highways, except for Interstate 80, but basically everywhere else south of Highway 20 is being reported that way. So plenty of area where you should be going slow. Give yourself extra time to get there. Increase that stopping distance between you and the car in front of you, as well as at intersections and corners. We all know the drill. Just go ahead and use your head as you're out there. Now, snow continues over the next 24 hours, at least for a few more. Those high impacts from the snow, though, continue later into the evening. And then as roads continue to get a little bit better, those should start to improve. Now, with winds picking up a little bit this evening, that will blow a little bit of this snow around, and that could cause some of those troubles to last a little bit longer. Winter storm warning for the core area where the heaviest snow has been going. Winter weather advisory surrounding it. These all expire within the next several hours, and as we head through the night, the snow comes to an end. The snow will also lead toward clear skies as it comes to an end. So 9 below in Charles City where things clear out first, 0 in Iowa City. And remember, with winds out of the northwest between 15 and 25, wind chills will be lower than that. So here's Pinpoint Futurecast taking what's left out of here by 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. Some flurries could still linger as long as there's clouds overhead. After midnight, those will start to fade away too. And by the time you wake up tomorrow, no new snow, but plenty cold, and the sun will not help a whole lot. It's one of those days where it'll look really nice out of your window, but it'll feel very, very chilly. And by tomorrow night, we'll see those temperatures drop pretty quickly in the evening. But by late in the evening into the night, southerly winds actually kick in, and that will sort of reverse our trend and set up our next storm system too. Now, your first alert forecast for tomorrow: 6 in Fayette, 12 in Oskaloosa. Mostly sunny, but those winds out of the west, again, keeping our wind chills on the cold side. In the morning, we're talking 10, 20, maybe as low as 30 below zero in some spots. During the afternoon, still below 0. Unfortunately, we're not going to get above that line, at least not until during the day Friday. That's as that warm air moves in ahead of the system. Snow is possible later on the afternoon and evening on Friday across eastern Iowa. That's the first of 2 little pushes of moisture as the system moves through. You'll notice the next one arrives Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. That one a bit more southerly than the first one, which will be a bit more northerly. Everyone, though, gets a chance to add some snow on top of what we already got today. And that could be in the order of at least a few inches as the storm system moves through. Now, we'll talk more about specifics in terms of how much we can expect this same time tomorrow night. But for now, just keep that on your radar, especially if you have plans that take you on the road again Friday into Saturday. Valentine's Day, a snowy one potentially for some, and next week a cold one, as AJ suggested. Those temperatures getting down to the single digits to low teens at best for highs several days with below 0 temperatures in the morning. That's quite a stretch, especially this late in the season.
It absolutely is something to be prepared for, and of course, January it was seasonable temperature-wise, but it wasn't necessarily as snowy as what we've seen for, in fact, the last 24 hours, really.
Yeah.
But I did have a check-in with our state climatologist, Justin Glisson, for this week's Climate Close-Up to have a little bit of a chat about how we were in January in terms of our temperature trends and if it can be used as an indicator for what we can expect in February. Let's have a look. Well, for this week's Climate Close-Up, we're going to have a look back on the month of January to see what temperature and precipitation trends were like, and then have a look forward as we get through the rest of winter, since we are roughly at that halfway mark between the beginning and the end of winter. So I do have our state climatologist, Justin Glisson, right here next to me. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, AJ. How are you?
Doing well and enjoying the winter so far. Of course, as we went through January, it's now in the rearview mirror and moving into the later half of winter. Of course, that's where we are now, but it hasn't seemed like a brutally cold or snowy winter, at least here in eastern Iowa. So looking back on January, how did temperature and precipitation trends compare to average for this previous month?
Yep, so across the state, about a degree below average, near normal across the northern half of the state, and slightly below average across the southern part of the state. So not exceedingly warm or cold. What the real story has been is the dryness in January. For the state, around the 15th driest. For the northern third of the state, the driest January in 153 years of records. And on the snowfall, only 4.4 inches of snowfall this season. Looking at January, well below average, near the top 10 least amounts of snow for a January.
And of course, that's not great for a drought monitor. We've seen drought slowly creep back in across the state. But as we go into the second half of winter, can we use this January as an indicator for what the rest of winter will be like? And how often do we see a tale of 2 months where January and February end up being vastly different from each other?
Well, if you go back to last year, we were right in that scenario. January of last year was the 67th warmest, 18th wettest, and the 3rd snowiest. So right around the Caucasus, we had a pretty significant amount of snowpack on the ground. Looking at this January, near normal again, drier though. But then February last year, a flip of the script, the warmest on record and the second driest. So 2 bookends there for January and February last year. So we don't have a lot of correlation between January behavior and what February will bring. But we do start to get more active as we get into February, more cold air outbreaks, more chances of snowfall, all those things that go into wintertime.
And of course, we'll have to hope for a little more snowfall to maybe get some moisture on the ground and then in the ground once we get into spring and everything starts to thaw out. And hopefully that'll help us out a little bit with, again, that drought that's been creeping back into the state. But Justin, that's about all the time we have for today. So again, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. It's always great to hear from you, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thanks, AJ.
We've talked a lot about precipitation over the course of this edition of First Alert Weather Now. Let's focus a little bit on the temperatures as we go forward. 11 degrees for a high tomorrow after a start below 0. Below 0 lows likely again to start off your Valentine's Day. Notice though we get into the 20s later in the day. That southerly wind that will be fairly blustery, so that the wind chill will be counteracting that warmth. But it will feel better than tomorrow, where it will still be kind of blustery too. Now our wind chills in the morning probably still ranging in that about 5 to 15 below 0. By Saturday, the 7 o'clock morning wind chill not as bad. We're talking down in the teens as temperatures will be warm, but behind the storm system that starts off the weekend that brings us that snow chance, much colder air arrives and for several days. Single digits to low teens highs, below zero lows, some of those double digits below zero. Some of this will depend on how much snow comes out of the storm system on Friday and Saturday. Now there is another one that offers a slight chance for a little bit of snow on Monday. President's Day could include some of that, but the track of the system has been a little bit inconsistent in the computer models that we use to help make our forecast. So any shift away from the area, of course, would reduce that chance. But if it were to track directly on top of us, could add another couple of inches on top of what we're going to get between now and then. So yes, plenty of wintry weather still yet to come. No clear sign in the immediate future, at least, of a prolonged return to above normal temperatures, at least for the time being. Of course, that will change on the drop of a hat sometimes around this part of the country, so we'll have to keep a close eye on it as we get later and later into February.
Indeed. And for all the snow lovers out there who spent January wishing for more snow, here you go.
Indeed. Make the most of it as you head out there this evening. We've got a full list of close-ins and cancellations on KCRG.com. Full list of snowfall totals, too, that we'll be updating through the evening on KCRG.com as well. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night, and have a great and safe night.